And it's time for the back nine from the 2018 Tecumseh Takeover. Bradley Good and Mike Carman are battling it out for first place at this annual event, and to see who will finish on top at the end of the tournament, stay tuned as Disc Golf Monthly starts now. And hello again from Pittstown, New Jersey for Disc Golf Monthly's coverage of the second round at the 2018 Tecumseh Takeover tournament. We're just wrapping up the front nine, and we have a heavy competition going on here between Bradley Good and Mike Carman. And the way our competitors are finishing up here at the front nine, we have Bradley Good on top with an 89, followed by Mike Carman with a 90. Justin Choka has a 93, and Stephen Curry is in fourth place with a 97. So this group is really battling it out on this fun and challenging course. A lot of OB, and it's a very wet course today. There's heavy mud in certain places, but players seem to be managing the course pretty well. We're going to get started here following the back nine footage at this tournament. Before we do, we're going to take a quick break, so don't go away. We'll be right back.
What do a store owner, a mother of two, and an honor student have in common? They've all recovered from a mental health problem, and they're all part of our lives. Mental health problems are surprisingly common. They affect almost every family in America, maybe even yours. Get the facts about mental health. Call 1-800-789-2647 because mental health is part of all our lives.
And welcome back to our coverage of the back nine of the 2018 Tecumseh Takeover. Everybody just got done wrapping up recording birdies as they finished up on hole 10. Bradley Good has a one-stroke lead over Mike Carman with an 89, and Justin Choka's 3 strokes behind Bradley. So we see Bradley tees off. It's really close to that tree with that amount of turn he got on that drive, but he faded back just in time. He got a really good placement. And Steven saws that off a little early.
Yeah.
If your disc hyzers out too much, you're going to have a tough second shot. This is, it's not too challenging to get a birdie in this hole. It's just you want to really hit that gap up where you see with that barbecue grill. If you can get really close to that, you can lay up and get your 3. It's really just a matter of placement. Just there's a very high backhand shot, gets a lot of turn. He fades out. The basket is just in the off in the right in that opening. Steven goes with turns over a sidearm shot. That was very interesting. Mike Carman with his second shot. He is right where you want to be.
Get around him.
Steven going for birdie. And it just bounces off the cage, doesn't go in. Bradley's going for birdie as well. This will be his 6th birdie of the round. And he gets it just up high enough, drops into the cage, and he gets his 6th birdie of the round with that putt. Mike Carman has to answer, also get a birdie, otherwise he's going to drop a stroke to Bradley. But here we see Justin putting, and Justin just rolls away, and he goes back slightly further than he was from his last putt. And this time he makes it. Mike has a short distance to make this birdie, and he makes it. So he's going to stay 1 stroke behind Bradley with a 93. Bradley has a 92. We're moving on to basket 11. This is we're wrapping up basket 11. We're moving on to basket 12. This is a par 3, 401 feet. This is a very tricky par 3 to get. You have to keep it straight. Get as close as you can to a bridge. There's some water at that bridge. It's not casual, it's OB. You have to make it over the bridge. There's a hill, as you can see up ahead. The basket is dog leg to left on that hill. And this is another one you have to be careful of rollaways as you putt out. Mike gets a great placement shot off the tee. Steven gets a great rep. It's going right for the crick. We'll have to see if it makes it over. Let's see what they have the spotter there. We're looking to see if he put up the red flag or the green flag. So we had to go back to the action a little too soon to be able to see if that was out of bounds or not. There's Justin with his drive. This part of the course is very muddy, as you can see. Justin goes with turns over a sidearm shot. Bradley went out in the rough off his drive. Looks like he made it to the other side of that creek. Here's Mike turning over a sidearm shot here. Gets a decent amount of air out of that. Have to see how close that puts in the basket. Steven makes it over the creek, but just barely. He throws a sidearm shot to approach.
Good job, man.
Bradley going for par. And he makes it. Bradley is really turning it on with his putting game. You see Bradley and Mike still have that one-stroke lead between the two of them. As we move on to basket 13, this is a par 3, 282 feet. This is a very sidearm, right-hand, sidearm shot, backhand, right-hand turnover shot, friendly hole. Mike drops right by the basket. Really great position to get a birdie after that drive. Here's Steven with his drive going with a sidearm. It's going to turn a little too soon. He's going to fade away pretty far away from the basket. There's Justin. Justin's going the backhand turnover shot. And that's going to go fairly far beyond the basket for him. Steven didn't quite get the distance he was looking for. But he makes that putt. That stayed in the air just long enough. Bradley has to putt back to the basket. And he makes the putt, recording his 7th birdie of the round. So it's important Mike has to answer this or he's going to drop a stroke. Mike has a very short putt, and he answers. So we still have a one-stroke difference between Bradley Good and Mike Carman. Bradley with a 97, Mike with a 98, and further back you have Justin with a 104. We're moving on to basket 14. This is a par 4, 531 feet. This is a very challenging hole. You have to just get as much distance as you can, and you have to be very careful to stay away from all that vegetation you see off to the right. The basket is just beyond that. It's in an opening. So ideally, you want to go with a backhand shot with your right-handed, get as much distance as you can so it'll hyzer out and it'll stay away from all that vegetation. And then if you can, you want to throw a sidearm shot to approach to the basket, or if you have a great turnover shot, you'll turn over your second shot and it'll get you really close to the basket. as we see the group wrapping up their drives. Justin gets the least amount of distance in the group. And he's going with that sidearm I was talking to you about. Bradley's also going with that. Got to be careful not to overpower you this approach shot. You could go too far and go into the woods, which it looks like Bradley just did. Looks like everybody's going with a sidearm shot to approach to the basket to try to get their birdie. And that looked like it worked nicely for Steven. Here's Mike. He's really got to capitalize here. Looked like Bradley's approach shot went a little too far. Mike really needs a birdie here to tie this up. And Bradley did go into the rough. He's got to putt out of it, try to get the birdie. And he comes up low. So this is Mike Carman's opportunity for sure to get that stroke back and tie this up. He has a very short putt for birdie, and he does. Now we have a tie for first place at a 101 with Mike getting that birdie, his sixth of the round over Bradley. And we're moving on to basket 15. This is a par 3, 200 feet. This is a very short hole. It's uphill. There's just one tree to avoid, and there's also the road, which you'll see here, which is out of bounds. So this is a must get a birdie here. And Mike is in a good position to get that birdie. Steven going with a sidearm, and it just gets too much turn. It skips out of bounds. Justin with his first shot. Justin plays over the road and skips right back to the basket. Here's Bradley with a sidearm. And that just cut and came to a dead stop perfectly. You have to be careful there. It could have skipped and went out of bounds, but it just hit into the ground, went nowhere. Steven, unfortunately, going for 3, missed it. Bradley gets his birdie. Right behind him is Mike. He has to answer, or he's going to lose that tie. And he makes it. So everybody but Steven records a birdie on basket 15. And we're moving on to basket 16. This is a par 3, 340 feet. This is largely another relatively open shot. There's a tree that's it's about 30 meters. I'm sorry, 10 meters away from the basket there. You see it right there. So it doesn't really come into play much. And there's a roadway which also doesn't really come into play much, but it is out of bounds. Here's Justin with his drive. And he comes up short. There's Bradley with his drive. Bradley gets a lot of power on that. It's turning a lot. It's getting really close to the tree. But he avoids it, but he's away from the basket than he'd like to be. Here's Steven coming right at it. Steven going for birdie. Bradley going for his 8th birdie in the round, and he got it. So this puts the pressure on Mike. Although Mike appears to be very close to the basket, he's going to have to reach out and put that in the basket to get his toe.
Yeah. All right, Mike.
And the tie continues between Mike and Bradley as they both get birdies. 8 for Mike and 9 for Bradley. And we're moving on to basket 16A. This is a par 3, 258 feet. This is a temporary basket just for the tournament.
Get off it.
Like there's a high shot. Heiser's back. So he looks like he's right by the basket. He's inside the 10-meter circle for sure. Here's Justin with his drive.
Wow.
Puts a lot of power on that. He may have, oh, it looks like he came up a little bit short. He hit some vegetation. This has a very powerful reach back when he drives. Bradley puts a lot on that. Looks like he went just a little bit beyond the basket. Kept that nice and low, very flat. There's Steven with his drive. Gets it very high, it's going to cut back. He may have went pretty far beyond the basket. And there's Mike. He came up a little short, going for his toe. So this is going to put Bradley in good contention to get the lead back to himself. As he does make that birdie, his 10th of the round, he now has a one-stroke lead over Mike with a 107, Mike with a 108. We're moving on to basket 16B. This is a par 4, 630 feet. Bradley with his first drive. Bradley gets a good amount of turn off that. You definitely don't want to go too far on your drive. There's a roadway just beyond where the camera's placed. It's out of bounds. So you want to have a good placement shot. You want it to turn over if you're going over with a backhand off to the right, because the basket takes a dogleg to the right. There's a big evergreen tree that you have to avoid. And the basket's just beyond that. And Mike looks like he may have gone just a little too far. We'll have to see where he spotted. And Justin with that very powerful reach back with his drive. And it looks like he's in a really good placement shot there. Mike did go out of bounds. This is his inbound shot. He's going right at that tree. And that's just going to eat his disc up. Let's see if it comes down. Looks like it did come down, but he's on the wrong side of the tree. He's going to have to take a placement shot here, which this is not good for him. He's already down one stroke over Bradley. It's going to make it hard for him to get that lead the tie back.
Yeah. Really?
That really, he cut through that perfectly. There's Steven approaching. Looks like Bradley's going to make a run at this putt. Goes with a jump putt. And he gets that in the air perfectly. Bradley makes that putt for a birdie. His 11th of the round. So now if Mike makes that next putt, he's going to end up with a 3-stroke lead. Mike needs us to keep the difference at 3. And he just misses it. So pardon me, it actually he needed to keep that the distance at 2. So now with that missed putt, he has Bradley now has a 3-stroke lead over Mike. As we move on to basket 17, we're back to the regular course. This is a par 3, 441 feet. This is a relatively open shot. Pin's protected by the 2 evergreen trees that you see down there. Bradley going with that sidearm shot. He was looking to get more of a skip out of that to put him closer to the basket, but he's close enough as of right now. Justin with a very powerful drive. Looks like he's flirting with that out of bounds. There is out of bounds off to the right in that roadway. Here's Steven with his drive. Hits a lot of turn off that. And he just skips a little bit beyond the basket, but here's Mike. Mike really needs to get back into this. He only has, this is 2 baskets left to get try to get the lead back. He gets a nice amount of turn off that. It skips, and it doesn't go very far. So Mike appears to be much closer to the basket than Bradley. Bradley even came up significantly short. So Bradley's really going to have to work here to keep this 3-stroke lead and make this putt. Gets it in the air. He just comes up short. He didn't even have the distance on that shot, unfortunately. Some slight challenge here for Mike.
Yeah.
Oh, the disc bounced a little bit on him, but it stayed in. So back to assuming Bradley makes this next putt, we're going to be at a 2-stroke difference with 1 hole to go. There you have it. Mike records his 9th birdie of the round to make it a 2-stroke difference. As we move on to our last hole, this is a par 5 at 902 feet. There's heavy rough off to the left. There's also a road out of bounds off to the right. This fairway is relatively narrow. There's a lot of trouble that you can get into. And Mike plays loosely over the road, somewhat over the road. You'd see not too far out. It looked like he actually didn't go over the road. A lot of players, just to keep out of that rough that you see off the right, they'll play over the road to let it, and they'll count on their disc to hyzer back. And here's Bradley with his drive, and he's flirting with that, and he's coming back, and he is in a good spot. You also want to be close to that roadway, so on your next shot, as you approach the basket, there's some vegetation and a creek. You can play over that. As you can see that down there, just to the right of where you saw Justin standing. That's the path that you're looking to head towards as you approach the basket. Here's Steven with his drive. And he doesn't get enough turn off this. This is going to hyzer into that vegetation.
You can have your dad buy it.
He goes straight into it. It's just a matter of how deep he went into it. Justin also went into that vegetation. And Justin threw the perfect. That is the perfect. That was perfect. I mean, at this point, he just needs to play over the creek. And Bradley's playing over the roadway here, trying to, but he's going to go completely over the roadway, and he's going to get knocked down in that brush, so he's going to take a stroke penalty. He went out of bounds. That is definitely not good. We have to see where Mike is. Mike could potentially tie this as of right now if he gets the right amount of placement shots here. He got the longest drive out of the group. He plays that perfectly straight, and that may actually get over the creek. So Mike could actually be flirting with an eagle here. See Bradley's inbound shot. He does. Looks like he played it safe there, but it doesn't look like he's over the creek yet. And he just laid up. So at this point, Bradley's looking to take a bogey on this hole, bogey 6, whereas Mike could win this tournament with this putt. He's putting for eagle. Looks like he's outside the 10 meter, but he's going to go for it. And he gets that up and over there. Drops right into the change for the win. Mike Carman with a very dramatic win. 2 strokes behind at the start of this hole. And with the mistake made by Bradley, Mike capitalizes by getting that eagle, and he gets the win by 1 stroke with a 118. Bradley with a 119, Justin with a 126, and Steven with a 129. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back to wrap it up. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Hi, welcome to Climo's Corner. I'm Ken Climo, 11-time world champion. We're here to talk about putting and the physics that go along with it, for my style at least. There's many different variations out there, but this is the one I choose to use. I like to go with what they call as a weight shift transfer and very little spin on your putt. Obviously you're going to have some spin when you're putting, but you don't want to have an excess of spin. Kind of like when you throw a long shot and it's got a lot of spin and speed, it wants to kick out. So the less spin and speed you have on your putts, the more often they're going to stay in if you hit the chains. And one way I achieve that is, instead of pulling it into your body and really spinning it out, it creates a lot of spin and a lot of wrist motion. So there's a lot of variables there. So what I try and do is I try and get my hand low, like you're pitching something underhand. It's just a really straight motion. It's hard to get offline with that. So I get rocking, get my weight transfer, drop down, get set, and then explode out where I'm up on the front of my toe and my back leg's up. And that's that way I can get all my weight into it without falling forward. If you want to learn more about other techniques, visit www.kenclimo.com.
And there you have it. Mike Carman finishing on top at the end of the second round, and an amazing finish. At the end of 16B, Mike Carman was 3 strokes behind Bradley Good, but he came crawling back on hole 17. He managed to get that awesome placement shot off his drive to set him up for a birdie, and Bradley gave 1 stroke back of the 3 on the finish, where Bradley was too far away from the basket to get a birdie. So on 17, Mike managed to make a 2-stroke deficit out of it, and an amazing finish on basket 18. A miscue by Bradley Good, where his second shot went out of bounds, and that really set Mike up, where Mike was able to get his second shot to drop in close enough to the basket, where he was able to record an amazing eagle. He went 902 feet and managed to get right to the basket in 3. That's an amazing finish by Mike Carman. He won by 1 stroke as a result of that eagle, as Bradley gave back the 2-stroke lead he had and gave the lead away as well. So he gave 3 strokes away on basket 18, so Mike can make the win. Amazing finish by Mike Carman, and that was an interesting, fantastic finish to watch, and we're pleased to be able to bring that to you. That's all the time we have for this month's show. Join us next month for another edition of Disc Golf Monthly, the show that takes you one step closer to the sport of disc golf.